morning. I hope that you're all well and that you've had a good week. In this video, we're going to have the giveaway draw for this scissor spool holder and Big Ears the mouse. There is one lucky winner, but everybody who entered will get something. I'm going to talk about my week of using my Millennium Frame Necessaire stand and the Necessaire tablet and phone holder attachment. We're going to have this week's online tutorial for the ABC sampler, and I'll talk about a few other things as well. Now, I have got something to ask you. Several weeks ago, I was lucky enough to purchase the blue pair of Kahanas when they were released, and I didn't mind what colour they were as long as they were a different colour, so I wasn't disappointed when they arrived. But I was surprised when they arrived because they were not the same shade of blue that was shown on the Kahanas website. Now, Kahana obviously must have had a lot of emails from people about the colour of these scissors, and Kahana said that the lacquer will react to light and will lighten over time. So I popped mine out on display and they have gone a little lighter, but they're still not the same colour that was shown on the Kahana website. So my question to you is, if you bought these blue scissors, are these the same colour as the scissors that you have? There they are. They have lightened quite a lot. And I do love the colour. I love the original colour when they came, and I love this colour as well. I'm just curious how long this process takes of the scissors lightening. Okay, so this week I finished the Spanish sampler. I think it took me, I can't remember now, I think it might have been 25 days or maybe a few days longer. Lisa and I did work it out the other night, but it went in that year and came out that year. That sampler was amazing to stitch on. Every night I sat down with it, I achieved something because it's made up of blocks. It was absolutely joyous. It's not a difficult sampler to stitch. If you've been doing the ABC online tutorial, you will have more than enough skills to stitch that sampler. We're going to be putting together now over the forthcoming weeks a comprehensive stitch guide, but honestly there's nothing complicated about it, and then we will release the sampler so that you can enjoy stitching it as well. A finish means a new start, and the sampler that I have started is Filomena Fernandez, and here is my start. It has this outer border that runs all the way around, and then it has this inner border which will run all the way around, and it has the most gorgeous fonts for the alphabets. Really, really beautiful. This is just the first of them. Now, when I sat down to stitch this sampler, normally I like to work the border, but I feel that this border is not complex, but there's a lot of elements to it. There's a lot of counting. So to make sure I meet up, rather than work it all the way around, I'm working a little, then I'm doing some alphabets, and then I'm working this across and doing it this way. I have a check with the alphabet below, and I have a check with the outer border. The girl who stitched this, she was so accurate with her stitch placement. So all of these are the same. There's only sort of 2 quirks in the border, which when I charted it, I highlighted in a different colour. One, so that I catch it when I get to it, and also that when you stitch this sampler, you will catch it as well. That's just so pretty. This sampler, I will show you my progress each week, and as it develops, you will see it's a beautiful companion piece for Carmel Azzopardi. The two samplers will hang so well together. The builders, they are progressing so well. They're doing about 3 windows a day, and we're, I think, really about halfway now. But oh my God, the noise, it's so hard to live with the noise. Ray and I, we live very peaceful lives. We're not noisy people. So other than music in the background, and the occasional woofs from the dogs, our life is normally sort of very serene, and the constant noise is very hard for us to deal with. This week I locked myself away in the study, and I worked on charting a sampler. Now this sampler, I had to take it out of the frame because it's about this wide. It's what you call like a chimney piece shape. It's this beautiful landscape sampler, very different to what we've ever produced, the Hands Across the Sea samplers portfolio. And it's stitched on a very low count linen, which makes it very, very long. So I had to take it out of the frame because I just couldn't manage that solid mass on my desk, and it's just like working with a tablecloth. Although it's very long, it's not very though it's very wide, it's not very deep, and it's just been absolutely joyous working on it. It's just been something very different for me. I'm going to stitch it, and as I work on it, I will share my progress. I need to chart another sampler as a travel project because 2 weeks tomorrow, I'm off to the States for my annual get-together with a group of friends. We are so excited. I'm going to be knocking something off my bucket list, and that is a visit to Country Sampler. We're going to spend 2 nights there. That's a store I've always wanted to go to, so very much looking forward to that. And we've got some other adventures planned, although our trips normally revolve around talking, laughing, stitching, eating. Okay, so that's to look forward to. I'm starting to pack my case. I had to wait for the builders to finish in the room that I normally lay my suitcases out on the bed and start packing, but I can do that now. So all of a sudden this trip feels very, very real. Okay, the ABC sampler, it's progressing very, very nicely. This is where I am. Last night I added the 2 stitches that we're going to look at today, which is the feather stitch, and there's another version of the feather stitch. Now, when I picked the colours for this sampler, I actually matched the colours to the original sampler, with the exception of the yellow, because I wanted the yellow to be something that you could easily see. So I boosted up the yellow, and as you can see, the yellow is quite vivid. But when you come to the yellow here, it's not standing out so well. And that's because I've hit this patch of aging on the linen, and that has changed how the colour appears. I just thought that was quite interesting for you to see. So that is the same yellow as the rest, but it's lost its intensity because of the background. Okay, so shall we have a look? at the feather stitch being worked. This week I will be demonstrating the stitches on Ada. We will start with a waist knot. Bring your needle up through the fabric and take it back down 2 squares below. Bring your needle back up 2 squares to the right on the centre line. Catch your thread, forming a loop. Take your needle back down 2 squares above. Bring your needle back up 2 squares to the right on the centre line, and in doing so catch your thread, forming another loop. We have now established our stitch path, and we will repeat this across the row. A square of Ada represents 2 threads of linen. When you move your needle by 2 squares, you are moving it by 4 threads of linen. Feather stitch can be worked in many different ways. This stitch was very popular for decorating babies' and children's garments. There are several variations. Closed, double, single and Spanish knotted are just some of them. On the chart for the ABC sampler, you will notice that the child started her feather stitch in an unusual way. I have faithfully reproduced the stitch exactly how she worked it. After studying the reverse of her sampler, I came to the conclusion that she had started with a compensating running stitch. You can work this row of feather stitches as the child did, or as I'm demonstrating in this video. To secure the last loop, take your needle back down through the same hole within which you brought it up, and in doing so, secure the loop. The next version of feather stitch that the child worked in the ABC sampler is double feather stitch. It's also known as double coral stitch. Bring your needle up through the fabric and take it back down 2 squares below. Bring your needle back up 1 square to the right on the centre line. Catch your thread, forming a loop. Take your needle back down 2 squares above. Bring your needle back up 1 square to the right in the centre of the stitch. Catch your thread, forming a loop. Take your needle back down 2 squares below. Bring your needle back up 1 square to the right in the centre of the stitch. Catch your thread, forming another loop. Take your needle back down 2 squares below. Bring your needle back up 1 square to the right in the centre of the stitch. Catch your thread, forming another loop. Take your needle back down 2 squares above and bring it back up 1 square to the right in the centre of the stitch, again catching your thread to form a loop. We have now established our stitch path. We are forming a zigzag line of feather stitches. This is such a pretty stitch and one that I enjoy working. You often see this stitch on schoolgirls' samplers when they were demonstrating their needlework skills. The child who worked the ABC sampler executed 2 rows of this stitch in 2 different colours. When you come to the end of the row, you secure the last loop by taking your needle back down the same hole in which you brought it up through. The feather stitch is such a useful stitch to be able to work. There's many books written just about the feather stitch. Now this is a very old book and it's really about surface embroidery, but the feather stitch is used on so many lovely items in this book. As I said, it's a very old book. It's, you know, black and white illustrations and photographs, but it does show you what you can do with this stitch. Now I have an old needlework specimen book and the feather stitch appears on many pages in this book. It's been worked on these two examples, it's been worked on this beautiful example of lace, it's been worked twice on that. And then if I turn over the page, you will see it's been worked on this row, this row, this row, and this row. Now, this row is very interesting because a French knot has been worked in the spacing of this double feather stitch. And this is something that I see so often in samplers. And I thought this was the ideal opportunity to include a tutorial on the French knots. So I am actually using a tutorial that I recorded, oh my gosh, 8-9 years ago. Let's have a look at the French knots.
I thought I would demonstrate how I do mine. For these, I'm going to wrap my thread around the needle twice. And the first thing that can happen is that as you put your needle down, the thread pops off. So I hold the thread with my forefinger and then I'm going to put my needle down in an adjacent hole to the one that I came up. And once that's in, I can release my finger and I'm going to just pull my tail end so that the threads close up around the needle, not too tightly, but so they sit in snugly. And then I'm going to hold this tail end with my other finger and I'm going to pull the needle through, bringing the thread behind, and I'm going to take this through slowly and smoothly so that a knot doesn't form in the thread as I pull it. Now you can see there's a loop here and that could go into a knot. So just use your finger to maintain some tension there. And there we have a knot that's worked out when it was in danger of knotting up. So let's just do that again. We're going to go round our needle twice. We're going to hold the thread, put the needle down into an adjacent hole, pull that thread so it sits snugly, and then we're going to draw our needle through and smoothly and evenly bring our thread all the way through. Let that little kink work itself out by taking the thread slowly, and then just let your finger go with that tail end until the knot is formed. Let's just do another one. These knots are packed in very tightly here. Right, let's just pull that through smoothly. Just let your finger go through to the end. So it's around your needle twice, hold your thread into position, drop your needle down into an adjacent hole, apply some tension so that your loops are sitting snugly against your needle. Pull the needle through slowly and smoothly, letting that kink work its way out, and then take your finger through to guide that last little bit of thread through. Round your needle twice, down into an adjacent hole. Let those loops sit snugly and pull the thread through. Just do one more. Keep on saying that, let's just do one more. Don't know if you can hear Blue snoring in the background. Usually Ray's snoring as well, and I get stereo snoring as I'm stitching. Now this really is the last one. And there we have some French knots.
You might want to add some French knots to your double feather stitch on your ABC sampler. When I was stitching the tutorial this morning, I added a few French knots as well. Unfortunately, I forgot to press record when doing so. That's why I've used a video from many years ago. When I listened to that video, I mentioned Blue. Blue was an amazing boxer, and because I only mentioned Blue, it means that Poppy had passed away, and Poppy died 9 years ago and Blue died 8 years ago. So I know that video was recorded between 8 and 9 years ago. Our pets, they're with us for such a short time. We've never got a boxer past 8 before. So, you know, Bertie's 8 this year, this month in fact. But he's promised me he's going to live forever. Okay, so we've had a look at this week's stitches. My sampler is growing. There's not really that much left to do. We've got the Smyrna cross, we've got satin stitch, and we have Berlin lacework and turkey knot. So we're going to have some fun in the weeks ahead. Now, I wanted to share with you a review that I'm going to be posting about the Needle Needs Necessaire tablet and phone holder. I'm so pleased with it, so I'm just going to pop that review into this video, and then we're going to do the draw for the giveaway. This is a review of the Needle Needs Necessaire tablet and iPhone holder attachment for your Necessaire floor stand. A week ago today, I unpacked this and I did a video showing how to assemble it. I've now had 7 days of using this, and I've got to say I am so pleased with it. Absolutely delighted. I've never had a product from Needle Needs that I've never been 110% happy with. The Needle Needs products have been game changers for my stitching, whether it's the wonderful Millennium frame that has the most amazing tension, the floor stand, the lap stand, and now the tablet holder and phone holder attachment. It's been wonderful. I have, every time I've stitched this week, which has been every day, I have been in my stitching chair. Now my stitching chair is not this one, but it is an identical chair in another room. And I've been able to sit and stitch and have my iPad in front of me. Now, I use my iPad for my PDF chart. So I am looking here at the chart. I have also had a TV screen on here at the same time so that I can watch or listen to a TV program. And the wonderful thing is that I've had several video calls with needlework friends where we've been stitching through the evening and talking, and that's just been absolutely wonderful, because as I've been stitching I've just been looking up rather than turning my head to my iPad on the side table. It's been wonderful. I am so pleased, and I have waited for this product for so long. It's just amazing that it's here. Now, a few things about this. Now I'm going to turn it around the other way so that you can see these knobs. Like, I'm relatively short, so I have this set at the lowest position, but if you were taller than myself, you might want to raise this And you just do that by loosening off this knob and then securing the knob with the screen in a different position. This knob, just loosen it off, allows you to tilt the angle of your screen. It's really, really good. Very, very good. Which way does it go at? I'm so pleased with this. Now, when this was released and I saw all the information on the website, I was a little shocked at the price, how much it was. And I spoke to Needle Needs and I asked them, why is this priced? I think it's like £30 or £40 less than the floor stand. And they actually told me that there is as much engineering and work that goes into producing this as there is in the floor stand. And, you know, when you see it, you can understand that. For me, with the amount of time that I spend stitching, I decided that it was worth it. You know, I spend probably somewhere between 6 and 8 hours most days stitching, and this is just making my stitching time all that more enjoyable and so much easier for me. Gone is having to turn my head to keep on looking at my iPad. I just lift my eyes up and down and everything is there. Love stitching off a PDF chart. So that is the attachment. If you look at my video from last weekend, you'll see how to put it together. I'm truly delighted with mine. Very, very pleased. If in case you haven't seen my video from last week, you release this knob and you can change it so that you can have your tablet in portrait mode. This is a Pro Max iPad, so it's the largest iPad that you can get. I prefer to work in landscape, and you can also, there's my phone. I haven't got my phone here, but you can also, you know, it just drops down to a smaller size. So you could have your phone in landscape or you could have your phone in portrait. There we are. It is expensive, but I think you get what you pay for, and it's a beautifully constructed, engineered product, that I know is going to last me for the rest of my stitching life, just as my stand and my frames have. Now, if you have a Needle Needs floor stand, there are 2 versions. This attachment works on the second version, and the way you know it's the second version is when you go to the back of the stand, in between these 2 slots, the upright post will have 2 holes to receive this into it. See where those screws are? There will be 2 holes on your stand. So if you have this sort of first version of the floor stand, the attachment will not work on it. Good reason to buy a second floor stand. I actually have 2 floor stands and I have them in different positions in the house. It saves me having to carry my frame and stand around. Although this stand is very, very light, and the attachment hasn't put too much extra weight on it. Okay, so that is my review of the Needle Needs Necessaire tablet holder and iPhone holder attachment. Well worth it. The last section of today's Flosstube is the giveaway for the scissor spool holder and Big Ears mouse. Okay, so we had, let me just check, it was 382 entries, and I've made a list of all the entries and people have been given a number. So I have set up a random generator from 1 to 382 So I'm going to press generate, and the number is 179. So just bear with me a second. Let's find who was 179. 179 is Melanie Wood. There we go. It's Melanie Wood 179. Congratulations, Melanie. If you would email me your address, and I will get Big Years packed up and in the post to you. But everybody, all 382 entrants have won something. You will be receiving via email a design, an unreleased design for a sampler stitched by MS Gerenstein, and it's a red sampler, and I'm very much looking forward to stitching that sampler myself, and when I do so I will share my progress in my Flosstubes. So look out for an email. It will take me a couple of days to send out all those emails because they go individually. And I do want to say thank you to everybody who entered. There were some lovely emails that came in where people told me a little bit about themselves and their stitching journey, and I love reading all of those. I have read every single email that's come in. A lot of people said that the stitches that they would very much like to learn are the Montenegrin stitch, the Queen stitch, and surprisingly the Jessica stitch. A Jessica stitch is not really a stitch you see worked in reproduction samplers, but I have worked that stitch several times over my stitching journey, and it is a very pretty stitch. If you don't know what a Jessica stitch is, Google it. The Queen stitch, I have got several tutorials out about that, but they're for paid workshops. Maybe in the future I will do a Queen stitch tutorial for Mrs. Parkman's Academy of Needlework for the free online tutorials. The Montenegrin stitch, it's not a stitch to be afraid of. It's made up of a straight stitch, a short diagonal and a long diagonal. And if you remember, we were looking at those stitches at the very start of the ABC tutorial. I'll give some thought about what we can do with looking at that stitch in the future. Okay, this is a long video today, but there was so much to discuss. Thank you as always for everybody who watches the video. I'm always touched to see the viewing numbers. You all amaze me so much for the support for myself and for Hands Across the Sea samplers. Okay, until next week, stay well, stay safe. Bye-bye.